My mother-in-law walked into my room in the middle of the night. And what happened next changed everything. Don't scroll, you need to hear this whole story. My name is Jacob, I'm 29, and I've been married to Anna for just over a year. We live in a small guest house on her parents' property while saving up for our own place. Her mom, Veronica, is 46, elegant, well-groomed, and, honestly, way too attractive for a mother-in-law. From day one, there was something about her, the way she looked at me, too long, too close, always with a half-smile. I tried to ignore it. I loved my wife. But one night Anna went on a work trip, and I stayed home alone. Or so I thought. Around midnight, I heard soft footsteps. I thought maybe Anna came back early, but when the door opened, it was Veronica, wearing nothing but a silk robe. She didn't say anything at first. Just walked in, closed the door behind her, and leaned against it. You know, she said slowly, I always thought Anna got lucky with you. But maybe I'm the unlucky one. I sat up in bed, heart racing, confused, stunned. Veronica, what are you doing? She smiled. You're a man, Jacob. And I'm a woman. That's all that matters tonight. She let the robe fall. I should have said no. I should have told her to leave. But instead, I reached for her. She climbed into bed, and the moment her skin touched mine, it was like something snapped inside me. The way she moved, the way she whispered, the way her nails scratched down my back, she didn't just want me. She owned me. That night wasn't soft or slow. It was desperate, messy, wrong. But it didn't end there. When Anna came back 2 days later, I couldn't look her in the eyes. And the worst part? Veronica would still sneak into my room when Anna was asleep, like nothing ever changed. And maybe it didn't. Maybe I never stopped wanting her. But I knew one thing for sure, secrets like this never stay buried forever. One night, about a week after Anna returned, I was lying in bed, pretending to sleep while she scrolled on her phone beside me. At exactly 2:13 a.m., the same time as always, I heard the soft creak of the hallway floorboards. My breath caught. I knew those steps. Anna didn't move. She was too focused on some video. I closed my eyes halfway and saw the shadow slip through the barely open door. Veronica. She was wearing that same silk robe, tied loosely at the waist, and nothing underneath. Her eyes met mine in the dark, and for a moment, it felt like time froze. She didn't say a word. Just tilted her head, slowly backed out of the room, and I followed. I slipped out of bed like a thief, padded down the hallway in silence. She was waiting for me in the laundry room. Low lights, her back against the washer, robe already falling off her shoulders. You took your time, she whispered. I couldn't hold back. We didn't speak. We didn't kiss gently. It was rough, silent, fast, a frenzy of skin and breath and guilt. The hum of the washing machine muffled everything. After, I leaned against the wall, chest heaving, shirt half open. This has to stop, I said, not even believing myself. Veronica smirked, adjusted the robe, leaned in and whispered, You'll beg for it before the week is over. Then she disappeared into the dark hallway like a ghost. The next morning, Anna made me breakfast. She smiled like nothing was wrong. I sat there, smiling back, but my hands were shaking. Veronica walked in, freshly showered, hair damp, wearing one of Anna's hoodies. She sat across from me at the table, met my eyes over her coffee mug, and slowly licked her lips. My fork dropped. Anna didn't notice. But I did. And I knew, this wasn't just an affair. This was a game. And I was losing. That evening, Anna suggested we have dinner with her parents in the main house. I tried to decline, made up something about being tired, but she insisted. Come on, it's just dinner. You've been acting weird lately. I couldn't argue without raising suspicion, so I followed her, my stomach in knots. Veronica opened the door, wearing a tight black dress that clung to her in all the wrong ways, or maybe the right ones. Her perfume hit me like a punch to the chest. Jacob, she purred, so good to see you looking rested. Her husband, Anna's dad, was away on a business trip. Again. I sat across from Veronica at the dinner table while Anna served pasta and wine. The conversation was normal. Almost boring. But under the table, her foot slid along my calf. Slowly. Higher. I nearly choked. I glanced at Anna. She was busy talking about a new project at work. Veronica's toes pressed between my legs. My hand clenched around the fork. I could barely breathe. After dinner, Anna said she had to call her sister and went upstairs. I turned to grab my phone, but Veronica stood, walked over, took it from my hand, and whispered, "Follow me." We slipped into the study. She closed the door, turned the lock, and pulled her dress over her head in one fluid motion. "Here?" I hissed. "In the house?" She pushed me against the wall, unbuttoning my shirt with one hand, eyes burning. "You want to stop?" I didn't answer. My mouth found her neck, my hands gripped her waist, and we collapsed onto the couch in a whirlwind of sweat and need. I was so far gone I didn't hear the creak of the stairs. I didn't hear footsteps approaching. I didn't hear the door handle rattle. Until it did. The lock turned. The door swung open. And there stood Anna. Eyes wide. Mouth open. Phone still in her hand. Time stopped. And I knew, the game was over. But Veronica? She just looked over her shoulder and said, calm as ever, "Well, I guess it's time we talk." They led me upstairs like I wasn't even a person anymore, like I was theirs, a possession they were about to unwrap together. My hands were shaking, heart pounding so loud it drowned out everything else. In the bedroom, Anna turned on a small lamp, casting a soft golden glow across the room. Veronica stood at the foot of the bed, arms crossed, studying me like prey. "Strip," Anna said softly. I looked at her, confused, but her tone wasn't angry anymore. It was commanding. Firm. I obeyed. Piece by piece, I took off my clothes, feeling their eyes on every inch of my skin. When I was completely bare, Anna walked around me slowly, brushing her fingers across my chest, down my side. Veronica sat on the edge of the bed, legs crossed, smirking. "He always was obedient," she said. "But you never used him right." Anna turned and looked at her. "Maybe I just didn't know how far he'd go." Then she pushed me gently onto the bed, climbed over me, kissed me, but differently now. Possessively. Like marking territory. Veronica joined us moments later, her nails dragging down my back, her lips at my neck, her breath hot and slow. I was drowning in them, between their hands, their voices, their bodies. No guilt. No hesitation. They touched each other too, softly at first, curiously, and I realized this wasn't about revenge anymore. It was power. Control. Hunger. We didn't sleep that night. I was taken apart and put back together, again and again, until I didn't know whose mouth was on me, whose fingers made me tremble, whose name I whispered. Morning light came through the window, and still, they stayed on either side of me, two women who once hated each other, now united by the man who betrayed them both. Me. And as I lay there, drained and ruined, Anna leaned in close, whispered with a smile, "We're not done, Jacob." Not even close. I couldn't move. My body was sore in places I didn't know could ache, my mind foggy, completely overrun by the chaos of the night. I lay between them, staring at the ceiling, trying to process what had just happened, but it wasn't over. Not for them. Anna sat up first, pulled on one of my shirts, the collar slipping off her shoulder as she looked down at me with a twisted kind of pride. Veronica lit a cigarette by the window, one leg crossed over the other, her robe loosely tied, the curve of her thigh barely hidden. "So," Anna said calmly, "you'll keep living in the guest house. You'll act normal. Like the perfect husband. And when I want you, when we want you, you'll come." I blinked slowly, unsure if I was dreaming. Veronica exhaled smoke and added, "No more lies. No more sneaking around. You belong to us now. Both." I sat up, my throat dry, my voice almost a whisper. "And if I say no?" Anna laughed quietly. "You won't. Because you liked it. We saw it. Every second." Veronica walked over, took my chin in her fingers, looked deep into my eyes. "Besides, where would you go? Who would believe you? That your wife and her mother took you in their bed and broke you?" She kissed me slowly, deliberately, while Anna watched with her arms folded. "No, Jacob," she whispered, "you'll stay. And you'll behave." Days passed. Then weeks. And I stayed. I played the perfect husband by day, smiling at neighbors, mowing the lawn, helping with dinner. But at night, the rules were theirs. Sometimes it was Anna. Sometimes Veronica. Sometimes both. I lost count of how many times I was dragged from sleep or pulled from the shower, how many nights I was used, touched, commanded, worshipped, and ruined. I didn't know if I was in heaven or hell anymore. But I knew one thing, whatever this was, whatever line we crossed that night, there was no going back. One night, maybe 3 weeks after that first collision of lust and madness, I sat alone on the patio, a beer in hand, staring into the trees, trying to remember who I used to be. Before all of this. Before them. The door behind me creaked open. Bare feet padded across the wood. I didn't even have to look, I knew it was Veronica. She sat beside me, wearing one of Anna's tank tops, braless, her hair loose and wild. She leaned in, took a sip from my bottle without asking. "You're quieter lately," she murmured. I stared ahead. "I'm just tired." She smirked, traced her fingers down my arm. "You should be. We've been very generous." I turned to her. "What is this, Veronica? A game? Some sick power trip?" She didn't flinch. "It started that way. But now?" Her fingers gripped my chin, turned my face toward hers. "Now you're a part of us. And deep down, you like it." I wanted to deny it. But I didn't. Because something inside me had changed. I'd been molded, broken, rebuilt under their hands. I wasn't just Anna's husband anymore. I was their shared obsession. Their secret. Their creation. The next evening, Anna returned from the city with new clothes, for me. She handed me a bag and simply said, "Wear this tonight. Mom and I have plans." That night, they dressed me. Styled my hair. Told me where to stand, when to speak, when to move. I wasn't just theirs in bed anymore, I was a showpiece. A toy. A man caught between two forces that both desired and controlled me. And the craziest part? I'd stopped resisting. Completely. Some part of me had started craving it. The tension. The submission. The twisted, dangerous love. Because when they looked at me, with those eyes full of hunger and possession, I didn't feel like a husband. Or a man. I felt like theirs. And there was no escape. Only surrender. After that night, the night they both took me and never gave me back, my world shifted completely. I lived between them, caught in a web of glances, silent touches, and unsaid rules. We never spoke directly about what was happening. We didn't need to. It was all understood. One morning over breakfast, Anna was slicing her toast when she said casually, without looking up, "We're having a guest today. An old friend of Mom's." I turned to Veronica, who offered only a faint smile and sipped her coffee. "She's a wonderful woman," she said slowly. "I think you'll enjoy meeting her." All day I felt like I was standing on the edge of something, unsure if it would pull me in or push me off. That evening, a black car rolled up the gravel path. The woman who stepped out was tall, brunette, confident. She looked maybe mid-30s, carrying a single suitcase and a presence that hit like a cold wind. "This is Marina," Veronica said, greeting her with a kiss on the cheek. "We used to work together. Very closely." Marina's eyes slid to me. She looked me up and down with slow precision. "So this is the one," she said, almost to herself. "Now I see why you've kept him." I opened my mouth to speak, but they were already walking into the house. That whole evening, I felt her gaze on me like a second skin. Later, after dinner, I went to shower, trying to clear my head. But halfway through, I heard the door creak open. I turned, and there was Marina. Calm. Barefoot. She walked in like she belonged there. "Relax," she whispered. "I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm just curious, how deep you've fallen into this little world of theirs." She let her robe fall silently to the floor. And just as she stepped forward, the door behind her stayed open. In the mirror's foggy reflection, I saw Anna. Then Veronica. They didn't speak. They didn't move. They just watched. And in that stillness, with steam rising and silence thick between us, I realized, this wasn't the end of the game. It was the beginning of something far more dangerous. I stood there frozen, water dripping down my body, steam curling around my legs, and all I could see were their silhouettes in the mirror, Anna, Veronica, and Marina, three women bound by something I couldn't fully understand, but which I was now completely entangled in. Marina turned slightly, still unclothed, and smiled over her shoulder at them. "He didn't resist," she said softly. Anna stepped forward first. Calm. Slow. Her voice steady. "Of course he didn't. He never does." Veronica leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, that same cold amusement on her lips. We told you he was loyal, obedient. But we didn't tell you how easy it is to break him in. I didn't know whether to feel exposed or honored, like some kind of trophy, passed between whispers. Anna walked into the bathroom, now just a foot away from me. Her fingers touched my chest. "You belong to us, remember," she whispered. "And she's part of us now." I opened my mouth, unsure what I was going to say, maybe protest, maybe beg, but Marina placed a finger to my lips. "Shoo," she said. "You've already made your choice." And somehow, they were right. I had. My life wasn't mine anymore. That night didn't end in the bathroom. They pulled me into the bedroom, our bedroom, and all three of them took control. But it wasn't wild. It was deliberate. Calculated. They spoke little. Just glances, gestures, quiet instructions that passed between them like a language I was never meant to understand. And I followed every one of them. Not because I was weak, but because I'd surrendered a long time ago. When I finally collapsed into the sheets, drenched and shaking, they lay around me, Anna tracing lazy circles on my chest, Veronica brushing her fingers through my hair, and Marina watching me like a scientist observing a subject. And just before I drifted into sleep, I heard Anna whisper to the others, "Now we see how far he'll go, before he breaks completely." The following days blurred together, morning coffee with Anna like nothing had changed, long glances from Marina across the hallway, and Veronica's presence in every corner of the house like a shadow I couldn't escape. They didn't speak openly about what happened. They didn't need to. The rules were unspoken now, deeper than words. I was theirs, shared, owned, controlled. Every night brought something new. A test. A shift in power. Sometimes they watched each other with me. Sometimes they left me alone with one of them and compared notes the next day. I became their game. Their project. And somehow, I didn't want to escape. But the final twist came one evening when I found an envelope on the bed. My name written in Anna's handwriting. Inside, a single photo. Me, sleeping. Marina curled against me. Veronica at the edge of the bed, staring at the camera. And Anna, holding the camera herself. On the back, one sentence, "Now you know who's really in control." I looked up, and they were all there. Standing in the doorway. Watching. Waiting. Anna stepped forward. "This was never about love, Jacob. It was about choice. And you made yours." Veronica smiled. "You gave in." Marina added, "And now, you're exactly where we want you." I didn't speak. I didn't move. I just sat there, heart pounding, the walls closing in. Because I finally understood, this wasn't a fantasy. It was a trap. One I'd walked into willingly. And the scariest part? I no longer wanted to leave.